Hi, Joel Neidig here with Simba Chain. I'm the CEO and co-founder and excited to be here at REIMAGINE.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to REIMAGINE 2020, the Halloween edition of Tales from the Crypto. This is our fourth event within the REIMAGINE series of conferences. I'll be your host today, Adam, from the MouseBelt team. If you missed out on any of our past three events, feel free to visit the REIMAGINE 2020 website at ri2020.io for full access to over 150 interviews from some of your favorite projects and individuals in the space. Our main goal is pretty simple, straightforward. It's to talk shop with top projects and leaders in the industry to shed light and help us understand blockchain's real impact and innovation, advancements towards the Web 3.0 and decentralized infrastructure of our future. So without further ado, we have a returning project and a proud sponsored partner of ours for the REIMAGINE 2020 conference. We have Simba Chain and we have Joel, the CEO. How you doing, Joel?
Hey, doing great, Adam.
Cool, man. Thanks for participating, taking time out of your day. We had David on from Simba Chain last time. Now we get you, which is a real pleasure.
Yeah, no, it's great to be on. Great to support the the university and education programs at MouseBelt and stuff. So it's great.
Exactly. And I know Simba Chain kind of came out of the university kind of environment as well, which we'll get into. But, we've been having a good time here at the REIMAGINE conferences. And for those watching, there's a Simba Chain workshop. You can visit the REIMAGINE 2020 YouTube channel, put in Simba Chain. There's a past discussion with David, their head of business development, and also the Simba Chain workshop, which is great. So feel free to tune in there. So we've been catching everybody's kind of journey, up to blockchain, through blockchain, and here we are. As I mentioned, prior to going live here, the pandemic hit, right? And everybody's sitting at home, and what can we do to add value and contribute kind of to the ecosystem, bring content to students, enthusiasts, blockchain lovers, crypto lovers. And one way we can do that is with great discussions like this. So without, so I'll continue on and not butcher too much. What's been your journey, man? How'd you fall down the rabbit hole? You and I actually had met probably about 8 months ago here in San Francisco, or here in the Bay Area, and we started chatting, and that's how I got introduced to Simba Chain. But what's been your journey, man, prior to blockchain?
Yeah, that was actually one of the last conferences I think I went to, like before the pandemic hit. No, my experience has been like pretty crazy. So I started doing some Bitcoin mining like in the early days, like 2010, and I was just messing, like that at that time you could like mine on anything. And I was just like messing around. I ended up losing all my Bitcoin back then. So I don't even know where it's at. Like, I don't even have the hard drive in the computer so it's somewhere in like, I'm like one of the 24,000 Bitcoin that are locked forever and nobody's ever going to get.
Somebody just on one of the interviews was like, my room got too hot mining it, so I shut it all down and didn't want to do it anymore. So it's just funny.
Yeah. And I just like, I didn't at that time, it was just like, it wasn't worth anything. It was like fractions of pennies, and so but yeah, I kind of was messing around there. But then like in 2016,
what made you mine that? Like, how did you come across Bitcoin, and then what made you like start mining? Because that's like that takes effort, and you got to like set shit up and like get it going. So like, what were you doing before that? Are you technical or?
Oh yeah. So I've been involved like after college, I got involved in some IoT standards. So MT Connect was like a machine-to-machine communication. It's like MQTT or any other machine-to-machine communication protocol. And so I started getting involved in the standards of writing that and developing applications on it. And I have a computer science background. So I majored in operations management business in college, but then I minored in computer science. And then, I got into that. And then, Bitcoin kind of was like really interesting because like my friend told me about it because I'm just like a lot of techie friends. And we were just like, oh yeah, there's like this, you can mine this coin. And it's like, I'm like, well, how would it be worth anything? And so I started like researching it and how, it's, mathematically solvable. And
did it make sense to you? Did it make sense to you?
It started, yeah, it was like, okay, it's just like gold. Like, okay, you have to go, you have to buy equipment to go mine it, and it's in the ground somewhere. Well, this you have to solve mathematical, and it takes energy to do it. And just like mining real gold, you have to go out there and gold miners. If anybody watched Gold Rush on Discovery Channel, you can see, and there's always maintenance issues. So if people have maintenance issues with their mining rigs, it's like the same problems, So, but yeah, then it's worth something, because then you can go on an exchange and you can go sell it as and to other people, and you get rewards, for mining it. So that was kind of it was very made a lot of sense to me. And I love the fact that it could be settled without any other in a trustless system. That's just crazy.
No banks, right?
Yeah, and you don't even have to know
banks.
who you're working with either. That's just it can be validated. And to this day, Bitcoin hasn't been hacked, right? I mean, people's keys are stolen, but that's just because you've not done a good job of protecting your keys, or you've given it to somebody that you shouldn't have, or an exchange that got hacked. So that's what's pretty powerful about Bitcoin. But were
you in the forums? Were you all in the forums and you minored in computer science? Were they talking about this stuff, or was this kind of way later? Actually, were you out of school?
Yeah, I mean, I was 4 or 5 years out of college.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I was I was trying to find anything I possibly could. But that was anyway, yeah. So fast forward to 2016, I had been already involved in startups, and I just recently exited my first startup, and then I started working with professors at the University of Notre Dame, and I was licensing technology from Notre Dame. That's what I did on my previous startup, and then we got this Darpa grant, which was we submitted for secure communication with blockchain. So we started using Hyperledger first, and then started realizing Ethereum was a lot better from a smart contract standpoint. And yeah, that's how we kind of got started. So me and my co-founder, Dr. Ian Taylor, who's the research professor at the Center for Research Computing, and then Dr. Yark Nabrisky, who's the director there at Notre Dame. We just my brother-in-law had found this article on Vice.com, and that's what we submitted to for the DARPA grant, because they were looking for DARPA's always doing some crazy stuff, and so yeah, we won. And the rest is history. We realized it's really difficult to build blockchain applications if you're new, if you're new to the industry, and so we wanted to make it really simplistic, and that's what we've done. So we've got a graphical low-code generator for smart contract designing. And we can do to, 7 different blockchains now. So we do Binance Smart Chain, Ethereum, Consensus Quorum, Hyperledger Fabric, Burrow, Stellar, which is orthogonal to those other ones. And we do RSK, which is a side chain to Bitcoin. So anyway, we just do a lot of, and we keep on adding more deployments. But yeah, that's how we got started, and just started building up the team at Simba Chain. We've raised, we're on a seed, just did our seed series, closed that in January of this year, and so yeah, excited to see what the future grows. We just keep on adding more things to our platform.
Nice. So yeah, let's kind of touch on Simba Chain then.
Yeah.
So this project kicks off. What year?
2018 was really we I mean, December of 2017. We got it incorporated. But we had zero money. And
so were you developing? Were you kind of hands-on on the development front in blockchain prior?
Yeah, well, before that, so I've always been a coder. Unfortunately, I haven't really coded a whole lot in this company, because I've been running it. But my previous startup for Atlas, I built the first generation of the software as a service and the plugins that we were doing, and then with Simba Chain, yeah, we had programmers that were part of the original project for DARPA. So they came along with us on this, basically to start the company. So, and then I've done a lot of design and things like that. Oh, sorry.
That was my bad.
Oh, sorry.
So how? So Simba Chain came out of the DARPA kind of grant. It wasn't Simba then?
Yeah, well, we called the project was Simba. So the project was actually called Simba. And it stood for, at the time, it stood for Secure Messaging on a Blockchain Architecture. And then and Ian came up with that name, Dr. Ian Taylor. And then we have since changed it to be more of a simple blockchain applications. And that's more, retrospective what we really do.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and so what were the motivations for Simba? Because it's like a low code, no code kind of environment, which we'll get into shortly. But obviously you've been through the development aspect. Um, and you've probably seen the evolution from the UI UX, from just implementation and integration, interoperability. And I think obviously where Simba's at today has tackled a lot of that stuff. So from from your journey, like through development and kind of in blockchain, Simba comes out, or now you guys are solving a lot of, like, again, like being able to deploy things quickly.
Right.
What did you learn from kind of that coder experience and working specifically in blockchain to like think about, hey, like we need to make this fucking easier?
Right. Yeah, that's what happened. Like, because it was like we knew it. Like, uh, it can scale to a certain extent on certain applications, right? So, like, obviously, Bitcoin and other things, Ethereum, those are scaling and they're working through like really low level protocol issues that like now Ethereum 2.0 is working on sharding and all that stuff. But we're like, well, but the normal person is going to have to be able to use, like, if we want Web 3.0 to really propagate, we needed like where an iOS or Android developer was like, I don't know anything about blockchain. I don't want to host my own backend and make the connections, and I don't want to have to worry about that. So that's where we came up with like building SDKs that worked with a single API. So our API can be auto-generated to their custom smart contract, and it auto-generates based on the smart contract methods. And then they can custom code inside there anywhere they want. But then that API then can be used for Binance, or it can be used for Ethereum, or it can be used for Hyperledger, or it can be used for Stellar. It looks the same. It's still a Swagger JSON API. That's what the cool thing about Simba is. So then they don't have to like worry about reprogramming for another blockchain.
And maybe dive into that a little bit more on the partner, or the chains that Simba can leverage or work with. What do you mean by that? That you can work with Binance Chain, you can work with Stellar. I know you guys just had like a Stellar kind of workshop or event, not too long ago. Kind of shed some light on the importance, or even how that works, and the goals of being able to work with some of these other chains.
Yeah. So with Stellar, it has like certain operations that are like when you're trying to think about Turing complete on Ethereum, the EVM based change, which is almost the majority of stuff that's coming out now. So RSK, Binance Smart Chain, Ethereum, obviously. So Ethereum virtual machines or WebAssembly. That's a big, WebAssembly machines. That's really where we focused, and so you can reuse all that kind of plumbing to really get your code going. So we take the Solidity smart contract and it can deploy to those different ones, and it can, where our generator can actually generate other coding languages. We're coming out with like for Java, JavaScript, Go, so it can generate other coding languages that require other things like R3 Corda does Kotlin, right? So it can generate like a JavaScript capability. So that's really what we focused on, is like Ethereum virtual machine, but Stellar's not that way, because Stellar is orthogonal, like I said, to the other blockchains. But yeah, that's what we're trying to do, is like get users that may be like a business analyst, or somebody else that like wants to be able to search the blockchain, deploy applications, and manage their own applications from a dashboard. And that's what we've done. So and we just recently came out with like Truffle Suite integration, so now people can use Truffle Suite, deploy to Simba Chain, deploy to those other and yeah, like I said, Simba Chain is kind of misleading because we're not our own blockchain. We have a Ethereum virtual machine based chain that's called Circle of Life, but that's just like for testing purposes, like a test net. So, but we can deploy to mainnet or test nets, and so people can go test all their code out, all their smart contracts, before they go live on the different main nets.
So to back it up a little bit, so people can leverage Simba Chain, and develop and be interoperable with the chains that you just mentioned,
Right.
all because they're all compatible and I guess composable.
Right. Yeah. And it was just 4 steps to get going. So you just like create your smart contract, then you can deploy it then to, choose your network, choose which blockchain you're using, the test net, whichever. And then you sign, it generates the API, and then we have the wallet that's an HD wallet. So we don't store any keys or anything like that. And we have client side signing, and then we also have server on our enterprise side. We have server side signing, so we can use the Azure Key Vault for handling all those different, from an enterprise side, because enterprise users just want to use their single sign-on. They don't want to have to worry about their wallet and everything like that. So we handle all that, and makes it really simplistic.
And so you're targeting a lot of the developer or non-developer, not targeting, but definitely accessible for non-developers, business analysts, operations, kind of,
Right.
Non-technical per se. You still need to know a little bit. And again, check out that workshop for everybody tuning in, the Simba Chain workshop. David does an excellent job. And I think it was deploying like a smart contract, I believe. And they did this in under like, I don't know, 30 minutes or something like that to show you. But anyways, so what's kind of the feedback, and we'll take this down 2 roads, I guess. One on the enterprise front, and then 2 like on the traditional startup or
Sure.
Like consume, like traditional side. So what's the feedback on the enterprise front? Because I know also, maybe we'll get into now, maybe we won't, like you guys are working with governments, and I think one of your first contracts was obviously the Department of Defense, I think, or like the Navy, which we could touch on that shortly. But yeah, how do the enterprises view this, and then what kind of support are you offering to them to kind of, get them going? Because we work with enterprises too, and some of them are hesitant and they're still learning and understanding. What's kind of your strategy there with them?
Yeah. So it definitely was like, trying to tell people about blockchain was hard enough, right? But like then explaining to them like why they needed it. And it's like, we try to not like push the people that know what they need from a blockchain standpoint. Like we can talk to them in a different way, but other people that are like, well, they kind of want trustless, and they want to be able to audit things, and they like, okay, you're saying all these kind of keywords like that blockchain does. So then when they explain it, they're like, oh, well, blockchain is not necessarily like a Bitcoin. It's not Bitcoin is blockchain, but blockchain is not Bitcoin. So it's like that whole kind of mantra. So, but no, so we've got some excellent partners like Stokes Coffee. So they're Stokes Restaurante in Mexico. They they're part of the United Nations sustainment working group. And they really wanted to focus on the farmers that are all the way, they have all the way from farm to table, their supply chain. And so they really wanted to boost the wages of those farmers and have sustainable farming in these, because these are very like remote farms. And so they've been able to, double the wages, been able to, now with the app that we've built with Stokes, they can, will be enabling tipping to the actual, all the way down to the farmer. So they can like, if you get it in the grocery
some incentive.
store, yeah, there's like incentive based things like that. So we're tracking the coffee, like all the way from the co-op from the farm, all the way from the roaster, and then all the way to the restaurants and to the grocery store where, Stokes is doing the distribution. So it's been really exciting. So there's a video, like we were on Microsoft Inspire, and there's a whole video out there that, goes over that whole implementation.
And why do you think that's, so you're getting positive feedback, one, and then how is that, like, what's the process to get that implemented? Like, how tough was it? Obviously there's, which kind of goes to the support that I'm sure you offered, but there's a learning curve a little bit. And then I'm curious, why do you think these certain regions of farmers is like where blockchain's kind of tapping into? I've heard, supply chains and all that. Yeah. Why is it like these super distant, not distant, but remote areas? Is it because they have internet connection too? And like, where's the demand? Is it coming from them? Is it just, are you just educating so they're like, all right, cool, we have some technology and like we're open to it? Because I think there's this openness to leverage this type of tech and help them?
Yeah, I think it's the traceability. It's the visibility. It's the openness of trying to be like transparent. So Tokes really wants to like be sustainable. And if you heard of the acronym ESG, so it stands for economic, sustainment, and governance. And so you're going to see a lot of corporations are being judged now on ESG. So like how much they can be sustaining and the the governance that they're supplying, like the transparency, because there's massive, you can see like many lawsuits because of things that are happening. There's conflict minerals, child trafficking, all these things that are happening. And so, and just from the sustainment of like, if you beat down your supply chain so much where they can't make any money anymore, then you won't have a supply, you won't have a supply base. And I think that's where they're trying to like make sure that's sustaining in the in that area. And that's where you get these rural and like Coke's a great example too. Like that's another, like every person along the supply chain makes money. And that's where Tokes is really getting to and showing that transparency to their customers. And the customers that what has been said is like people don't really trust the data on the package, right? And so now they can visibly see the transactions happening on a blockchain and trust and provide more trust into the supply chain and stuff. So I think that's a whole education that's happening. And it's just, obviously, like you said, it does take a while to like get the idea sold, get all the stakeholders in enterprise, because these are, Tokes is a multi-billion-dollar corporation, so they're part of Gigantico. So there's just a lot of things to get involved. So
you supported Tokes, who was working with a lot of these farmers, and they're leveraging the Simba technology.
Absolutely. Yep. So we've deployed that out. It's gone live, and we plan on rolling it out to not only coffee but to their other food distribution, because they're not just in coffee. They're like they're a full food restaurants and food distribution. So they're pretty large.
So obviously it was very they were very receptive and like accepting of the technology. And were they surprised at how fluent it worked or like how it operated? What was their initial thoughts on like, oh wow, this we can benefit from this technology and it's not too bad?
Yeah, I think that's what Simba brought. Like we really wanted to make sure the user experience was super easy to implement, and that's where you're not just taking what layer one or something like that. You're actually like developing at a normal SDK level of programming, and so it makes it really easy for them to manage. And Simba does a whole much more than just low code. I mean, we do version control, we do the searching. So we have a graphical query of searching the whole entire blockchain, multiple blockchains, cross chaining. We handle ingestion. So we have an extract, transform, load capability to ingest your data into the blockchain. And we also have off chaining. So just putting the fingerprint on the blockchain, but then you have massive, like maybe engineering and design files. There's EDI, which is electronic data interchange, that's most supply chain and corporations use. So there's just all this enterprise, ERP systems, enterprise resource planning, which we're, Tokes is using Oracle. So we're tapping in and connecting all those features together.
And why do you think nobody else has gone down this path? I feel like you guys are like super ahead of the curve. Everybody's, the UI UX is kind of, intense. Some don't have resources, developing toolkits and APIs and SDKs.
Yeah.
I know there are teams, working on it, but like not to the success or that you guys are at commercially.
Sure.
Why isn't anybody else kind of taking this road? And then two, because of your interoperability, so you can plug in at some point, if it's EVM, like you're going to be able to plug into multiple chains.
Mm-hmm.
They already can, but yeah.
And that's we have a very unique solution, especially in the government side, where we're doing consensus quorum, but then like Boeing's using Hyperledger Fabric. So we're actually interconnecting Consensus Quorum with Hyperledger Fabric. So that's a unique thing that we've been implementing. And that's just due to like we're completely driven off customer demand. It's like whatever the customer is demanding and why they're doing the different things they're doing. That's where we head. And to the first point, why are we, I think that's just been me and Ian's like passion, from the get-go. Like we just we want everybody to be able to develop blockchain applications. We don't want this to be, eliminated people because they might not have the economic or social capability. Like, so we offer our platform for free. So anybody that wants to come to develop blockchain applications, you can get a simple login. Now, as you scale out, that probably it's a freemium platform, so it grows. But we prepare you for a way to build a business model. And so that's the cool thing about all of our open source applications, and obviously working with MouseBelt, that's what we really focus on. And one of the cool things we have coming out now for people to monetize even further is we have badges and certs that are powered by Simba Chain. So now you can generate your own custom badges and certs that can connect with LinkedIn and show a immutable and non-reputable certification that you may have taken a course, or maybe you have a specific skill set, and maybe it's in arts and crafts, or maybe you're like maybe you're a super business trainer, or maybe you're like maybe you're a fitness trainer or something. You can monetize these certifications and build a brand for yourself, and then put that on immutable on the blockchain for others to get certified underneath you and things like that. So we're seeing a massive uptick in universities and educational workforce development getting those kind of certifications and things like that. So that's one of the things that we've added to the platform, that we're added to the platform. It's in beta right now, but rolling that out in the next couple of weeks for people to use in the masses. Oh, you're on mute again.
Did you say you were working with universities in terms of are they leveraging the certificates and badges, or
so we're just rolling that out? They started using our smart contract designer to begin with. So using the smart contract designer to develop their applications and deploy them to different blockchains, and really start looking at token economics and how do smart contracts work. And really where we're selling the most is actually into the business and law schools. Because
why is that?
I think it's the easy to use tool, because they're like, I want to know blockchain, I want to use, but I don't understand like the whole zeros and ones behind it. Like that's where computer science is, using some of the more traditional tools. And so we are coming in at more of a business layer, business level to add value there, where there's, not really a market at this point. We're kind of developing the market.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. I think the accessibility that Simba offers, like we mentioned during this discussion, it's for anybody to use, and I think that's important. I think, and you could probably relate to this. Like a lot of the challenges and barriers right now have to do with what you're building out, and it seems like it's more user centric, consumer centric. To be able to tap into Simba and like leverage it how they want. And do you think that's problem? It's great for you, but you think that's one of the barriers right now to blockchain in general, is just the complexity of it, and kind of it's so the tech goes so deep that it's a niche market, use case and for people.
Yeah, I mean it's really. I think it's about to just explode in many different ways. There's so many different projects and enterprises that are using it now, and that are going to need tooling to manage their blockchains, and the interconnected blockchains that are happening with like major corporations that are building their own consortiums, and then having to, how do you handle the versioning of the smart contracts, and how do you, just the ongoing product life cycle that will take place. And that's why we remain a blockchain agnostic. So we can whatever is the flavor of the month, we're developing and focusing on that. So that is the latest and greatest, and the users, because we're a software as a service, the users always have the most latest up-to-date version of our platform, so they can always get that. And we keep up with our SDKs and everything, and try to build out more tutorials and help users where they're going. Like we just had at the Wyoming hackathon, they just won, WyoVote group just won the Wyoming hackathon, and they use Simba Chain. They built a voting app on Simba Chain, and so they were able to deploy it. When you're working that fast, they need a platform that can really deliver and build those custom things into what their need was. And so they were able to deploy that with Simba Chain.
And I think that's important to be able to ramp up over the weekend through a hackathon. Like nobody has time to. Well, I've noticed that the hackathons are getting longer.
Right.
They're like 2, 3, 5 weeks,
Right.
which is cool because there's that concept of like you can kind of think about it. But what's important is what you just said, being able to spur up, rapidly like prototype something or put some code together in 72 hours. And I think Simba provides kind of that capability and capacity. And so how did you land some of these government contracts and like what? I mean, there's so many options, right? They could have gone to some of these other chains. And I think obviously you support kind of the ecosystem in general on the blockchain side. But what was kind of how did you get some of the awarded some of the grants, right, to work with? I think it was the Navy.
Yeah. So we have Navy and Air Force contracts right now. We've got, we have contracts with Department of Energy and Marines as well. So we have several contracts with different agencies. And it really all stemmed from DARPA. So our original DARPA contract, we ended up taking it to a full-blown product level in the government, which is called a phase 3. And that really propelled us to, now our teams, we've got security clearances. We're getting the first authority to operate inside the government for blockchain. So that's a big deal. That takes, many years and a lot of money to build that out. So we've really invested a lot and I think it speaks to our platform. We make it very easy to interconnect legacy systems to, your current applications, but it doesn't disrupt your current business workflows. But they still want the auditability of blockchain, and they want to bring in supplier data, like what we're doing with some large OEMs to these, these military enterprises, which are very complex, lots of security and things like that. So it really, I think it's a testament to what we've built to the platform and the robustness that we've put in. So we have Kubernetes, we have Docker. So you can take Simba out of the cloud and you can put it all on-prem, which most of the government, there's a lot of the JEDI program and stuff you hear about, but that's like, they're investing in it, but it's going to be a long time before the government goes to cloud. They still like their hardware. So a lot of stuff are in these small networks that they have around the country and secure networks. And so our stuff can all be packaged in Kubernetes. We've packaged it in Kubernetes and Docker. And so you can put it where you want it on-prem.
And what kind of marketing strategy do you have? Like, it seems like you're working with enterprises, you're working with governments, you're working with universities. Like, it seems like it's going well, in terms of community engagement, like understanding education. How do you like maintain that or execute on some of those campaigns really to drive usage to Simba? Because obviously you're working with various partners, you're working with various government agencies, and it's been going great. So like, how do you engage kind of the community from your end?
Yeah, we have a great marketing team at our company, and so we just try to really connect on social media. We try to be extremely responsive immediately if somebody chats us on the website or goes gitter.im. We have a Gitter page, so like for coding questions, we try to be really responsive. Anything on Twitter, people DM us. We'd like to give people a lot of free swag, so when people DM us, we give them we have Simba hoodies, we have Simba t-shirts, so we try to get those out to people. And we try to promote various hackathons, get people on the platform. So we have over 3,500 users of the platform, so pretty significant from just a couple-year-old company. And that continues to grow. I mean, I think we'll hit 5,000 in the next 3 or 4 months, which is really definitely starting to excel. And so it's really exciting to just kind of we listen to what they need, and what the what the end users are using, and all of our enterprise customers and our government customers, when they ask us like, hey, can I do this, can you add this to the dashboard, can you I'd really like to do this thing, and that's that we just try to put it into our development pathway, and keep building it out. So that's been our, I think, really like just listen, super customer focused, listening to what they want to do.
Yeah, and it seems like you said, customer centric, nurturing, incubating, like kind of these relationships and guiding them, right? I think, and even from like MouseBelt's perspective, like over the last few years, kind of what we touch on three pillars, like investment, development, and like education.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what you're doing as well, like development, education, and like investing, like human capital, knowledge, across the spectrum of users. And that's kind of what I think was broken, and it's probably why you're doing so well, is that you're helping your end user like get through it. I know even on the university front, you guys are working with development projects, research, and like offering not office hours, but offering like internal resources from Simba that I
Mhm.
think are important for a lot of these projects to come to like fruition, right? Because outside of that, our perspective back in the day when we used to invest, and it was like, it's not just about money. Like everybody's learning this game, and
Right.
everybody's still,
Moving fast. It's
it's
moving so fast.
it's moving so fast. I was just interviewing like AB InBev right now, Anheuser-Busch, and they're still trying to figure it out as well. Obviously they have solutions too, and a lot of the enterprises do, but there's still a lot of work to be had. And my point here is that you're listening to the end user, and it's not a build and they will follow. It's kind of like, what do you need? It's not just blockchain and let's plug it in and it's going to solve the world. Like, cause that's not going to happen. And what are you doing on the university side? And I kind of touched on a little bit on the research stuff. Like, again, you're working with enterprises, but you're bridging the gap too, which is
Mhm.
why we're partners, and Simba's part of the Blockchain Education Alliance, which the motivation there is the same thing. It's just, what can we do to contribute and add value to the blockchain space, the industry, the youth, the developers of tomorrow,
Right.
with what we know, and we're going to learn together, and let's kind of speed up that thing. So what do you do on the university side that kind of ties into kind of the whole spectrum of Simba
Yeah.
regarding research and offering them like free licenses and stuff like that to get them going?
Yeah, so we really so like LSU, for example, they're using it for, they might have like a research project into like additive manufacturing or 3D printing or something like that. And so they're not blockchain experts, but they want to use, like, once again, they want immutable and non-reputable capabilities, that, and maybe they want to tokenize intellectual property or things, something like that. And so that's where we work with them to uh, show them how to like deploy a smart contract to a blockchain, tie it, or use our API to connect in with their existing workflow, and do that. And that's what makes them really simplistic. I mean, you can do that in a couple days, or a few hours, if you want to do it really fast. And I think the other thing we do is come alongside like educators, like Portland State. We have helped them. They use their own curriculum, but we help them with using our tools to integrate with their use cases that they're using in a business. And so I think that's the other value we bring, because it's like, okay, this isn't just theoretical. Like, you can actually you can build a proof of concept and deploy it and actually see what happens when you do that. So that's the value I think we're definitely bringing.
What do you hope to see? I'm sure you've seen a lot of applications. You're involved in various projects, or at least kind of from a 30,000 foot high level view. What do you hope to see in this space? See, either coming from your team, an application, like we just talked about supply chain. We hear
Yeah.
supply chain a lot, right, on kind of the use case for blockchain and distributed ledger technologies in general. What do you hope to see, or what interests you at the moment, kind of in the market as far as integrating and implementing this technology? Because I think a lot of
Yeah.
people are listening to this conference, right, and this discussion, and everybody's figuring it all out. Some are focusing on this. I got NFTs over here, we got DeFi over here, smart contracts, and kind of the enterprise front. What interests you, or what do you hope to see like in the upcoming, no time frame, but what do you hope to see like comes out soon?
Yeah, well, one of the things we're working on is actually projecting against misinformation and disinformation, which is like, front and center right now because of the election. So that's one of the things that we have coming out, and we'll be adding that, just like the badging inserts, to the platform, so people can actually publish their information, and you want to share it, and you don't want to you're going to want to validate that it hasn't been modified. So it won't protect people from like taking information and like, because once it's about impossible to like, unless you're a major platform like Google, Facebook, Twitter, you can't really take stuff down and like keep it, if it's like, obviously that's a whole problem of suppression of, freedom of speech. But then there's also that's a whole other thing like about bad things that get put out there that are just like, okay, this is like normal human, like this is bad. So anyway, so what we wanted to do is like, we want to do things that you can at least say, hey, this is what's published by an entity that signed the transaction, and this is what's good. Anything else that doesn't have this signature on it is, we didn't publish it. So that's going to be adding to the platform here soon, just like the badging inserts. So it'd be like another thing to publish media with.
Exactly, and kind of the evolution of Web 2.0 to like 3.0, and that's kind of what blockchain kind of encompasses, is like some data, getting your data back, and like controlling yourself and information.
Yeah.
And I think we've gotten lost in the last it wasn't like this before, but the internet, right, was to transfer information, and then the 90s, some e-commerce, and now you have like websites and like cool stuff, and then the social network period of time in the 2000s. And then all of a sudden, like, we're just giving up information like left and right. And here we are, just we are the product. And I think, the end goal is to flip this paradigm, this business model, into like taking it back, right?
And that's what centralization did. It just basically, like, you gave up all your data, you gave up anything that you've done. It became into these honeypots where hackers can get in there and dig it. So now, exactly, we're trying to flip that to decentralization, which is going to take some time, but then you, at least with decentralized identities and verifiable credentials, now we can actually start owning our data and controlling like what we want to release out. And those are the big things, like deep fake stuff, and decentralized identities and verifiable credentials is like what we're excited about. So we have some cool stuff coming out on that.
Yeah, that deepfake stuff is no joke. It's pretty gnarly. And then the digital identity front, or like certifications and all that on chain, like that's super important. I think that's one area, right, that you're trying to tackle, and it seems like you're running out on beta, which is awesome. And we got like a few minutes here. What are some things that, kind of a random question, like that you think you could do better at, actually, on the Simba chain?
Oh yeah, always like resources, right? Like, because we're only a company of 25 people right now, so we keep on adding. We just added another project manager, and so and we just hired another developer, programmer. So just like those kind of resources thing is like, we want to do that better, and we always want to we're very like I said, customer centric. We want the customer to be happy. We want them to have a great experience. We want, if they didn't have a great experience, what can we do to fix that problem and be responsive and help them out with the tool. We want them to be successful, because that's our success. So, because if we don't have customers, we don't have a company. People always ask us like, when are you coming out with a token? And it's like, we don't really have any plans to do that, because we're blockchain agnostic, and we just like to build tooling. We've done a traditional venture capital investment. That's how we funded a company. And so now we're revenue positive, and So it's like we're really trying to take any of those profits and reinvest them all back into new tooling to keep growing the business. And so I think, yeah, basically that's one thing is like resource management, just making sure we can, we have all these ideas, and can we deploy them all out is the strategy. So,
and I think to hear revenue in the blockchain space is kind of one off, like.
Oh yeah,
Like that's good for you, man. Like that's awesome that you have, a business model and driving revenue. At one point, right? It was just like white paper raising money and.
no, yeah, we could have we didn't do the whole CIO. We call them. Anyway, me and Ian have ICO kids kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, now it's called yield farming kits now, but
yeah.
Like to kind of get your perspectives on like the whole DeFi space, like in general. Do you follow the DeFi space? Like where do you keep tabs on the blockchain front?
Yeah, Compound was really cool. I mean, I think just the whole the governance token is very interesting. Like that's fascinating to us. So I think there's some potential things like I said, what we're thinking about from a DID and VC verifiable credential standpoint. What can we do with some of these 721, 777 token? And we have some cool stuff coming out that is with Truffle. We'll show demos of it like with Truffle Suite, and then goes on Simba chain, and you manage it from the API. Yeah, I'm excited to see like Compound was a cool example of how governance tokens can work. And I think they're still evolving and doing different things, but it's very, very cool from that standpoint.
Yeah, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. We had the What the Fi is DeFi, and it was just everybody's just experimenting and like figuring it out and kind of replicating, duplicating, and like competition is pretty fierce on that end. And so this digital identity thing, like how important is that? And I've been hearing about, we got like a couple minutes.
Yeah.
I've been hearing about that. Maybe I'll close out on that. Like the DID, digital identity. How important is that? And you're tackling that. And what's the use case or like, and are we talking about DID in the sense of like refugees or like people without, global identities where, you have borderless and cross countries or what kind of, what's the journey? What's the Simba journey or what's that going to be?
Yeah, DHS was really looking into that, and they still are. We've been focusing a lot on the 5G side of things. So 5G is crazy because you can like build, VPNs on the fly between you and me. Like, so we could like no longer, like we're on Zoom right now and it's like, oh, there's all this Zoom booming and hacking happening. Well, with 5G, you can actually set up a slice and a pure peer-to-peer VPN tunnel on the fly, and then it cuts off like when we're done with our conversation. So some crazy stuff. And like, how do you zero trust of connecting devices and people, and like my Apple Watch to my Fitbit to my Alexa to my whatever else device, my Roomba, now your fridge and everything else is connected too, right? So how do the zero trust and verifiable credentials all interact with there? And with 5G, everything now becomes really connected, and you've got millions of devices. And how do you provision all those in that kind of?
So are you talking about a little bit of IoT as well then?
Oh yeah. IoT. And so that's where we're working with some stuff on the government side that will be coming out more with as we get into more of the zero trust and verifiable credentials and DID stuff. And then every time we develop something, we always add it to the platform. So, that's the community as a whole gets to get access to all the development that we build.
I see. So I think I was off or misunderstood the DID as far as digital identity for humans.
Oh yeah, it could definitely be for humans. That's why I was saying like the Department of Homeland Security has been working on that from a passport, from identification, but we've kind of looked at it more from we're looking at it more from a device trust standpoint, and how do devices start trusting each other on the fly, and how do you deploy those in a cohesive way.
Well, I think that's important. I was just talking with another blockchain company, and like the amount of devices, that are, coming up. I think we're at whatever 10 billion right now, and like by 2025, right, we're going to be at like 50 and whatever.
Right.
It's just going to be more. We're not going to have less devices, that's for sure.
Right. No, yeah, it's just going to keep growing. So
I'm on like 5 devices right now, and
no, I know. Yeah, I'm getting like messages from everything. So it's like it's not going to stop. So how do we control that and make sure like we really want to have control over our data?
And is that important to like have an identity, or this type of mechanism, or sorry, this type of connectivity amongst devices? Because first of all, you're trying to manage like privacy, security,
right.
Hackability kind of stuff,
right.
and like that's what you're talking about as far as encryption as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can see like just with like the recent hacks with like Twitter, right? You had somebody gave up the keys, and like Bill Gates and everybody else got hacked, and it was hilarious. I mean, it was funny. I thought it was hilarious. Like Bill Gates shilling Bitcoin, so it was just funny on his Twitter account. But
I can't believe like it was like what three high school students.
Yeah, I mean, they just convinced the guy at Twitter to like give him the keys, and but it was very social engineering way to get hacking style to get that. But I think what you can do now is by controlling your own identity, you're not having a centralized authority like Twitter that is like doing the authentication. And we always hear this word like not your keys, not your crypto, right? Well, hey, that's your information too, everybody, by the way. So like, if you're not controlling your identity, then that's not your identity, right? So I think that's where we're trying to get to, like, and I guess as an American, as like, that's very an American thing, but I think it's a human thing too, is like, you want that freedom, and you want to be able to control, like, you don't want to be somebody to be able to turn off your access, and you're like, wait, what? You didn't even give me a chance to arbitrate that or anything like that. So yeah. Sorry, I think you're muted again.
Keep forgetting here. Getting used to this new mic, but
no, it's okay.
No, it's super. You have a hard cutoff, or you're good?
Oh no, I'm good. I can talk.
Yeah. No, I think those are it's very critical to note that sensor resistant and like sensorability in terms of where we are in the States. So it's definitely a different world in terms of, we don't kind of have these issues of like our banks running with the money like in Cyprus and like stuff like that. It can hassen though. Like,
yeah, and then you're gone, right? Your life savings is over.
So. Exactly. And so we haven't experienced that because maybe, it's America, it's the United States, not to say that they can't do that, but you can see it in other parts of the world where it makes you think, the United States can do that. They just haven't, they don't need to yet, but
and there's no justice to go. I mean, there's no pathway to go and like I said, like litigate that, right? You can't like, okay, well, at least in America, there's a Department of Justice that you can go and, go to court of law and work that out, even though it might take some time.
I was about to say that'll take some. You have the option.
It'll take some crazy time, but there's just a justice system. But in other countries, it's just like, no, you're done. Like, so yeah, I think it's really sad, and you can see that in Venezuela and other places. Argentina.
Yeah, Turkey, Argentina, or specifically on the crypto side, or the currency volatility, hyperinflation. I'm kind of going off topic there, but the point is like controlling, self-sovereign identity, controlling your assets, right? Your own information. They should be paying us for our advertisements, or advertising to me, or selling me stuff, like,
exactly right. You should get rewarded for that, right? And there's a way to, so I'm excited. I mean, like, I'm pumped about what Brave's doing. I'm pumped about what Sovereign's doing. I'm pumped about like all these different projects. Is like, it's really cool. And so, Simba's just trying to be like a small little part of that to help people, developers and users get going on what they see on their projects. So we've helped startups, enterprises, and government.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think to highlight like this conversation with Simba, it's agnostic. So like I think the name kind of throws it off, Simba Chain, right? In terms of its own like blockchain, but you're interoperable with many chains, various chains. You have a suffice like tooling and resources so that people can leverage, because that's also important. Like I said, if you don't build it and they will come, like people have learned like that doesn't really apply per se. It's about resources, it's about community engagement, it's about it's about supporting the ecosystem at large, from point A to point Z, right? And from what I'm hearing from you is you're hands-on, like your team's hands-on with enterprises, your team's hands-on with universities, governments. You're walking them through it. I know you guys are doing like curriculum with like, Louisiana, or like some of the universities in the South that I've had conversations with David on. And that's what like this space needs. And I'm glad to hear from you. I'm glad that our audience can tune in and listen to this to understand like blockchain can be a little bit complicated, but there are teams like Simba that are so that innovation can happen and we can identify more use cases than what we have now.
Right, and you can get there faster. Like that's our whole goal, is like get you there faster. You don't have to worry about the minutia of the other items. So yeah,
exactly, and it takes time. So yeah, man, I'll go ahead and wrap this up. And where can people find more information about Simba? Where should they log into?
Yes, first place, simbachain.com. And then, but if you want to get going right away, it's app.simbachain.com. And you can develop, get a free account. Some people make 2 accounts. I mean, we don't care. It's like, hey, you're going to use it. And so we want people to, get logged on, and there's tons of YouTube videos out there that walk people through. We've got tutorials, read the docs, GitHub repository of many projects that you can like springboard from that work with our API and has a smart contract already built into it. So yeah.
Nice. Well, cool, man. Joel, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us here. Everybody that's tuning in, Simba Chain is one of our proud sponsors here for not only this event, our past event. They have some workshops that you can visit on the Reimagine 2020 YouTube channel. You can find them, on YouTube with tons of videos and tutorials, as he's mentioned. And hopefully they come to a school near you, because they're affiliated with many universities. I think internationally, right? Internationally, or at least
internationally. Yep. And we have some exciting things that are going to be happening in the UK here soon that we are going to announce. But Flinders University in Australia, we're internationally connected with them. So that was some recent news. But yeah, a lot of universities.
Yeah, no, awesome. And I think that's where it starts. And our team as well, we've tried to focus at the university level, such as yourself, because we got to teach them, and the students move quicker, right, than the universities. Yep. And the technology is moving quicker. Right. There's a lot of bureaucracy on the university side to get content and curriculums approved, and it's just too slow. So happy to have you guys as one of our members. MouseBelt Blockchain Education Alliance, Simba's one of our members, and we're trying to tackle this all together. So we'll go ahead and conclude here. Joel, thank you again for talking with me. I hope to do this again next month, and we'll take it from here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, Joel. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching Reimagine 2020. Hopefully you enjoyed the conference. You can find this on the Reimagine 2020 website or the YouTube channel. And I'm assuming you can probably find this in the Simba Chain channels as well. So signing off here. Thanks.